am Black Business. From the moment I wake until the time I sleep. Yes, I am Black Business. I am Black Business. Tell me, are you Black Business? I am Black Business. Do you support Black businesses? Listen, I support Black business because I am Black Business. Black Business Expo, one of the largest business showcases in the history of Black business in the world. The world! Sign up today at www.blackbusinessexpousa.com or call 919-308-9090. I am Black Business.
My brother is with us, RJStevenson. He is a trailblazer in music, media, and ministry. For over 20 years, he has helped develop and establish the national branding images of businesses, institutions, nonprofit organizations, and high-profile personalities. He's a successful church planter. He has been blessed to serve as a preacher, a presenter, and a speaker at various conferences and conventions across the globe. He has established several successful churches and ministries under the brand The Infinity Church in Raleigh, North Carolina, Conway, Arkansas, and currently in Tampa, Florida. Stevenson's insight in media and evangelism caused ministry to soar during the season of a pandemic.
The church has left the building
by embracing a hybrid model that served both physical and digital ministry partners. We are excited to have this man of God to come before us. We're going to yield this platform into the hands of Pastor Stevenson that he may give us further instructions, further directives at this time.
Hey everybody, my name is RJStevenson. Also known as the Creative Director. I'm the CEO and founder of Creative Concepts, Production and Design. My company is based in Tampa, Florida, but I've also been able to establish business presence in North Carolina, Arkansas, and I'm getting ready to come back home to North Carolina. Thank you to Dr. Eric Kelly for again making this opportunity available as you are empowering and impacting so many Black businesses across the globe. It's my pleasure to be speaking with you today. I want to talk about something that is near and dear to my heart. It's something that every entrepreneur could really take advantage of, and that's this conversation about branding. Branding is sort of new in terms of the marketplace. We've been doing it for a very long time, but before we sort of talked about it from a perspective of marketing. But now that we've entered a new dynamic of business in the post-COVID, branding has become very, very popular, not just because every business needs it, but because of the trend of individuals becoming personally popular, definitely on social media. So today I want to talk about 5 simple steps to develop your brand. 5 simple steps to develop your brand. Now, you may still be asking the question, what is a brand? Because the term brand is used so often, it's often very confusing to understand what a brand is. Some people think that they're a brand. They may or may not be a brand. Some people have developed some kind of product or service and believe that that's a brand. It may or may not be a brand. Let me tell you what a brand is. A brand is a consistent, simply stated way to communicate who you are. That's a brand. A brand has to do with what color you wear, has to do with how you communicate and speak. It has to do with where you're located. A brand has all to do with establishing what your identity is, whether we're talking about your personal identity or the identity of a product or service that you provide. That's a brand. Now, let's talk about a very recognizable brand. There's this particular brand that stems itself off of these golden French fries. You may not even recognize that it was golden French fries, right? but that's the brand mark of a very, very strongly and long time established restaurant in the fast food industry. And a lot of people see it as this letter M, but that letter M just isn't any old letter M. Yeah, that letter M has been developed out of taking two golden French fries and putting them up in the air for everyone to see. And no matter where you see this particular restaurant, you will always identify the restaurant by those two golden French fries. We call them the golden arches as well. Now, why is it so that whenever you get too close to an intersection or a city, you can look up in the sky and see these two golden arches or French fries? You may not even see the name of the restaurant written out or spelled out, but you clearly recognize exactly who it is. And you also recognize what you can expect by introducing yourself to that brand. And because the brand is so consistent, remember that word, consistent, it continues to stand the test of time. That brand could show up on the corner in an underdeveloped community. And after a little bit of time goes by, you'll see some other brands that are highly recognizable come into that same space because that brand has established itself in the business market as a place that continues to thrive. We used to see underneath those golden French fries a number that let us know exactly how many customers have been served at that location. That brand can do that because it's been established with consistency. All right. Now that we sort of understood what a brand is, can you think of a brand that you are consistent with in your life? Maybe you've been consistent about the kind of clothing that you wear, and you've decided that you should only prioritize or only favor a certain kind of clothing brands. Well, those brands make you feel some kind of way. Those brands have identified to you a level of consistency in either style or in craftsmanship that calls you to sometimes pay more money because of how well that brand has been established. And guess what? You don't mind paying it either, because you know that when you invest in that kind of brand, you're going to get the consistency that speaks to who that brand has developed itself to be. So what is a brand again? A brand is the communication of a consistent product or service or personality that is being communicated to the general market. Now that you understand what a brand is, you may be asking the question, do I need a brand? Maybe so. Do you have something of consistency that you're trying to introduce to the business world? Is there some consistent message that you as an individual like to speak to other people about? Have you established some kind of service that you believe you can be consistent with in the marketplace? Well, if you check either one of those three boxes, you more than likely need to have a brand and have hopefully begun to develop and establish that brand. And today, I'm going to give you 5 simple steps to help you along your way towards brand success. Okay. So as I'm going through this presentation, make sure you take out your paper and pens. Maybe you're a well-established brand person and you don't need any more information, but I might say something a little different during this presentation that you might be able to put in your toolbox. Okay. So let's first talk about 5 simple steps to developing your brand. First of all, the question I often ask when I'm consulting with brand owners is, why do I need one? Yeah. Why do I need a brand? You need a brand because, again, there's this consistency word that you're going to keep coming up with in this conversation. So step 1 is I want you to tell me what you do. Yeah. Tell me what you do. We used to talk about it as an elevator speech. It's how can you clearly and concisely describe to me who you are, what your product or service is, so that I can feel like I need to engage you in what I do in my daily life or living. Can you do that? Have you figured out what it is you need to say to clearly and concisely communicate to your brand audience what it is you do? or why they should give you their attention, or why they should allow you to speak on their platform? Yeah. You've got to be able to tell me what you do. A part of what I do as a branding strategist is make brand marks or logos or trademarks as well. One of the things that's necessary in that area is consistency. And the most inconsistent thing I find with people who want to establish themselves in business, they can't consistently tell me who they are. One day they describe themselves as this, the next day they describe themselves as that. And in order for you to let me know that I can trust in your consistency, I need for you to consistently tell me what you do. Do you sell t-shirts? Do you sell ice cream cones? What is it that you do? Because once you recognize what you do, I can help you develop your brand to say what you do. What does that mean? Let's go back to the golden arches or the golden French fries we talked about before. Why are those golden French fries golden French fries? Because that is consistently what that brand does. They consistently make good golden French fries. And you might not like anything else on their menu, but what you will get is some good, consistent French fries. Okay. So the same way that business has developed its brand on two golden curved French fries, what are you going to develop your brand on? If you tell me that you're a great dog watcher, then I'm going to expect for you to watch dogs. So your logo or your brand mark should speak to the fact that you love to watch dogs. Now, does that mean that you're going to take a dog collar and some kind of emblem to let me clearly know that that's what you do? Absolutely. But when I see your brand mark or your logo image, I shouldn't have any question or wonder about what it is you provide and what you can do consistently. So again, the first thing I want to know when I work on helping you develop your brand is tell me what you do. I want you to develop how you consistently communicate about who you are. Again, step number one in developing your brand is simply tell me what you do. Now, the second thing I want you to do when we're developing your brand is identify who is your clientele. Step number two is identify your clientele. I get it. You're not the only one in the marketplace who does what you do. I get it. You're not the only lollipop seller. You're not the only ice truck owner. You're not the only painter. You're not the only photographer. You're not the only one. But there should be something unique about what you do that makes you stand out in the marketplace. And because we're branding consistently what you do, we got to figure out who consistently wants you. Yeah, we got to identify your clientele. How do you identify your clientele? Maybe you identify your clientele by the area you live in. Maybe your clientele is a suburban clientele. They live on the outskirts of the city center. They drive certain types of cars. They live in certain types of homes. Maybe your clientele is within certain kinds of communities. And I know you're asking, why does that kind of stuff make a difference? Well, simply, if you identify who your clientele is, you learn a couple of things. One, you ensure that the way you communicate engages that clientele and does not repel that clientele. Yeah. The way you color what you do, the way you speak about what you do, the way you communicate about what you do will attract some clientele, but it will also turn away some other clientele. So you got to clearly understand who your clientele is. Another way to identify your clientele is by identifying what market you're in. Are you involved in the medical industry? Are you involved in the nonprofit world? Are you involved in the children's industry? What industry are you involved in? Because that clearly helps to identify who your clientele is. You know, there's also a science to colors, right? And so most designers, once we're helping you developing your brand, we want you to be clear about, again, who you are and who is your clientele, because there's something called color science. Yeah. We want to make certain that even the colors that we're using to represent your brand attracts the kind of clientele that you're looking to attract. Some clientele aren't looking for bright, bold colors. They're looking for something warm and calming. And if your bright and bold does not attract warm and calming clientele, then guess what? There's going to be a difference between how you communicate who you are and the kind of services you want to provide, and how you connect those services or products to the clientele you're looking for. Are you trying to create some kind of discounted brand? Because, you know, there's no problem with developing a product or service that is geared towards an audience or clientele that needs discount pricing. That's fine. That just means that we recognize that you can't develop a product and package it in a way that costs a little bit more money. Because, you know, sometimes the packaging that you wrap your products in is the thing that drives up your price. And if your clientele is looking for a discounted product, they may not care so much about that nice upgraded packaging. And so if that's the case, you've got to make sure that your brand is consistent with the clientele that you're trying to attract. So let's go back over these first two steps in developing your brand. First step is be able to tell me what you do and be able to tell me consistently. All right. The second step is understand who is your clientele. Now that you've been able to tell me what you do consistently and you've been able to determine your clientele, you're ready for step number 3. Step number 3 is tell me what it looks like. Yeah, I know you've got great vision. I know you've got great goals. But if you can't tell me what it looks like, we're only going to be able to go as far as writing down your vision. Yeah. In the step of telling me what it looks like, we start to determine how we're going to add color to your vision. What does adding color to the vision mean? Well, most designers will tell you that we prefer to make your logo in black and white, because if your logo can be presented in black and white, that means that it can be transferred to other media and other applications. What does that mean? If I'm wearing a jacket like this and I want to have a lapel pin, well, if I'm going to apply your brand to a lapel pin, I normally need to give that brand to someone in a vectored image. And normally the best way for me to do that is to present it first in black and white. Once I can present your image in black and white, then I can colorize your vision or your image based on who your clientele is. But the basis of that image is going to be in black and white. Now that I've got your brand mark or your logo, I need to know how to color it. So I need to develop a consistent brand image. Most of us will tell you that's called a branding guide or a media guide. It lets you know the kind of environment that you want your brand image to be seen in. Do you want your brand image in crimson red or fire engine red? Do you want your brand image in aqua blue or do you want it in hunter green? Because if you're specific about your branding image, then you want your brand shown consistently every time. Most companies go to the extent of developing what's called a media guide that also includes a Pantone color coordination. That means that every time you see that brown, it's going to be the consistent brown. Every time you see that purple, it's going to be that brand's consistent purple every time, because that brand developer has decided how they want to be consistently seen. But maybe your brand image isn't a logo. Maybe you are your brand image. And for many of us as small business owners, we are the brand image. We walk around carrying the brand. So what does that mean? That means I want you to tell me what your brand looks like. I want you to present yourself in a consistent way every time I see you. That means that when I get up in the morning and go to the barbershop, right? That means that when I go and people see me at the barbershop, they need to be consistent about the way they see me. No, they can't see my brand with my clothes sagging off my behind. They can't see my brand with my shirt wrinkled. If they're going to take me seriously as the person who walks around being the representation of my brand, they need to see something consistent about me that shares and communicates with the general public about the quality of the product that I present. They need to know that I can speak eloquently. So if I'm asking people to consider me as a speaker for their event or for their conference or whatever the case, when I'm speaking to them at a grocery store, they're listening to me give them a 5 or 10 minute experience that indicates to them what they're going to hear from me on a consistent basis. Am I going to cut verbs? Well, if their clientele isn't a cut and verb type clientele, then that's not something that I should be doing as I'm presenting myself to people. Imagine me telling you that I have a car detailing service, and every time you see my car is dirty. Imagine me telling you that I have a clothing line or I'm a fashion designer, and every time you see me walking around, my clothes are tattered and have holes in them. They look any kind of way. How in the world could I represent my brand if I don't consistently show that I'm my first person that will be a consumer? So if you're going to be a brand, you need to consistently show what you look like. If you show consistently what you look like, then it gives the consumer a good idea about what your products and services will consistently be like. So let's go back over these first 3 steps. Step 1 is, please be able to tell me what you do. Step number 2, identify who is your clientele. Step number 3, can you tell me what does it look like, right? Once we get through those 3 things, it's easy for me to get you into step number 4. Because step number 4, we got to identify, where do you share? Yeah, I want you to identify what platform, or if you're really good, what platforms you can consistently commit to updating with your shared content. Have you ever asked someone who told you about their brand, about their social media, and you went to their Facebook page and Facebook was popping, but you went to their Instagram and they hadn't updated in the last 3 to 4 months? That makes you feel some kind of way about the branding image of the person. It's back to that same word we started off with, consistency. Yeah. So once you figured out what it looks like, you figured out who you're serving, you figured out what it's supposed to consistently be like, then we got to make sure that you're consistently communicating across platforms. That means that if you're going to post once a week, make certain that you're posting once a week consistently so that your clientele sees that your brand is consistent in service, okay? And I know it gets sort of difficult. I know it takes time to develop really good content. But believe it or not, when consumers are searching social media and the internet to see whether or not they want to engage your company for services and products, they are paying attention as to how often you are putting out information about your brand. All right. So if you don't have the bandwidth to have 5 different pages on multiple platforms, just stick to one consistently. If you don't have the bandwidth to take photos, to take videos, to make blurbs and those sorts of things, of captions and all this stuff all the time, just choose one consistent thing and commit to it, okay? That's step number 4. Figure out where you're going to share. So let's go back over these 4 steps again. For these 4 simple steps to developing your brand, first, I want you to be able to tell me what you do. Second, I want you to be able to identify your unique clientele. Third, I want you to be able to communicate to me what it looks like. Fourth, I want you to be consistent about where you share. And here's step number 5. All right. The last step of the 5 simple steps to developing your brand is stay ready for what's next. Clearly said, I want you to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Yeah, that's step number 5. Because after you've done these other 4 steps to develop your brand, you've got to know that once you begin to take your brand seriously, you can only go up from here. Once you develop who your brand is for, what's your next step? Are you getting ready to develop into a brick and mortar business? Are you getting ready to scale so that you can attract larger size clientele? Once you've been going through these other 4 steps, what's your next step? Are you ready to put advertising in publications in your community? Are you ready to go out there and let people know that you're available to speak? What's your next step? Well, for many of us, once we really begin to take our brand seriously, the next step just falls into our lap. Somehow it seems like once we've done the due diligence to take ourselves seriously with our brands, someone will come along and identify what you've been doing and give you the opportunity that you've been waiting for. Now, how horrible will it be for you to have done all these brand steps and not be ready for what's next? Meaning, have you ever been to that meeting and you knew you should have had business cards before you got there? And you walked into that business meeting unprepared for the opportunity of a lifetime? Yeah. Just a simple business card is the thing that will bridge the gap between where you are and what's next. So staying ready so you don't have to get ready means that you've taken yourself and your brand seriously enough to be ready for whatever comes next. Are you an author who's finished your manuscript and is ready to take your book to a publishing company to see if you can get a deal? Well, what if they ask you for your headshot? Do you have a good business headshot that speaks well of who you are as an individual? Because you know you are the brand. Did you take all that time to develop a brand mark and a logo and didn't have good headshots? Man, you got to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. It's sometimes the simple things that are right in front of us that separate us and create gaps between where we are and where we're trying to go. Yeah, listen, I got one big power tool for you. You ready for the power tool? I'm going to give this one to you for free. In order to get through the 5 simple steps of developing your brand, consistency is the key. Yeah. No, you don't have to run out and spend a lot of money in the front end. Just be consistent. No, you don't have to go out and hire a whole lot of employees on the front end. Just be consistent. No, you don't even have to have a store full of inventory. Just be consistency. As it regards to branding, consistency is the key. I hope these 5 simple steps to developing your brand has been exactly what you needed to get you from where you are to the next step in your business world. My name is RJStevenson. I'm a creative strategist and I help businesses scale. So if I can be of assistance to you as you're developing your brand or scaling your brand and products and services to the next level, I would love to be of assistance. You can find me on any social media network as RJStevenson, and you can reach me at thecreativesweets.com. thekreativesweete.com. Thank you for this time, and I hope this has been a blessing to your business.
Prepare for what's coming and dominate in economic winter. Stand strong and thrive by showcasing your great products and services globally through the Black Business Network and Black Business Olympics. The Black Business Network has showcased over 2,000 companies with over $7 billion in sales each year. Over 10 million attendees have viewed the rebroadcast each month. Through the Black Business Olympics, unique styles of business training and mentoring are turning students into business owners and entrepreneurial warriors who will dominate in any economy. Gain the ultimate advantage of the Black Business Olympics, 7 days of unbelievable topics and speakers speaking around the globe. Donate your time and experience to provide expertise and scholarships to students worldwide and change the world. Now, more than ever, new insights, tools, strategies, and capabilities are needed. This is your chance for a major presentation to the world. Fill out the form and join the more than 2,000 speakers who have presented to over 200 countries. Join the Black Business Network streaming live into the Metaverse, STEM City, Black Multiverse Enterprises, Hulu, Amazon, YouTube, iHeartRadio, Apple, Facebook, LinkedIn, Pod TV, IBM TV, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. Sign up today. Spaces are limited, and we will see you